This story begins with a shocking development. Harry and Meghan's U.S. assets have reportedly been frozen. This isn't a rumor. Sources say accounts are locked, access has disappeared, and financial pipelines have suddenly been blocked. When a high-profile celebrity's money is frozen, it's not just an inconvenience, it's a warning that something very serious is unfolding. Americans instinctively understand that when accounts are frozen, explanations vanish, panic sets in, and desperate decisions are made. That's reportedly the scene inside the Sussex circle. Clean up, wipe the trails, hope nothing is discovered. Sources claim this freeze is complete, not delayed or temporary. For Harry and Meghan, this is catastrophic because their US-based lifestyle, staff salaries, security arrangements, and PR operations allegedly run almost entirely through charity funds. When this pipeline abruptly halts, the system's vulnerability is exposed. This is not just a PR issue, it's a federal-level impact. The freeze reportedly occurred strategically with no advance warning. It signals urgency and exposes the fragility of celebrity privilege against legal scrutiny. Once the money stops moving, so does the power, and that's a reality even royalty cannot escape. This initial freeze is like the first domino in a series that could redefine the Sussexes' operations, financial control, and next moves. The story has only begun, and the implications for control and exposure are enormous. One thing is clear in the United States: the Internal Revenue Service, or IRS, does not care about royal titles or celebrity status. When the IRS opens an investigation, it doesn't just look at spreadsheets, it scrutinizes the entire financial ecosystem. Sources indicate that Archewell, or the RQL Foundation, has been placed under formal investigation due to public pressure and unanswered questions. When the IRS investigates a charity, it examines not only the donations and expenses, but also who benefited, whether operational costs were improperly diverted for personal use, and whether payments ended up back with the founders or close associates. This type of investigation is far from routine. It can be devastating. If discrepancies are found, federal authorities have the power to freeze assets, levy fines, and pursue criminal liability. The investigation reportedly triggered panic inside the Sussex circle because the foundation's finances and their personal operations are closely intertwined. The IRS's demands for transparency mean that privacy and control over the financial narrative are rapidly shrinking. This investigation directly challenges the Sussexes' U.S. operational model, showing that celebrity status and royal lineage do not shield anyone from federal accountability. The investigation is only the beginning. Federal scrutiny can expand quickly, and the implications for their finances and public image are immense. At the heart of the Sussexes' operations is their charity funding, and this is where alleged misuse becomes a central concern. Sources claim that money donated to Archewell, or the RQL Foundation, was not solely used for charitable purposes, but was allegedly diverted to fund personal expenses. Staff salaries, security, PR retainers, and even personal travel are reportedly financed through the foundation. If these claims are true, it's not just a PR problem, it's potential fraud. From the IRS's perspective, if charitable funds are redirected to benefit the founders personally, it constitutes a serious federal offense. Insiders suggest that these alleged diversions were carefully structured to avoid detection, involving multiple accounts and complex expense categorization. For the Sussexes, this is especially risky because their U.S. operations and lifestyle are largely dependent on charity cash flows. Any proof of misuse could trigger asset freezes, fines, and criminal investigations. This issue exposes the dangerous intersection of celebrity entitlement, public goodwill, and financial oversight. It's a stark reminder that controlling funds through a foundation doesn't exempt anyone from accountability. For viewers, this is one of the most eye-opening aspects. It reveals how power, privilege, and access to money can collide with legal risk when transparency fails. Transparency and accountability are critical for public charities, and this is precisely where the RQL Foundation reportedly faltered. Sources indicate that the 2023 and 2024 tax filings legally required were neither made public nor submitted properly to authorities. This absence is alarming. The IRS database has yet to approve or publish the filings, which strongly suggest discrepancies or unanswered questions. Tax filings aren't just numbers, they document who benefits, how expenses are allocated, and whether operations are legitimate. If filings are incomplete or inaccurate, red flags appear across the charity's financial ecosystem. For Harry and Meghan, this creates a dual problem. Operational funding, including including staff salaries, is at risk, and their public and legal exposure escalates simultaneously. Missing filings signal potential exploitation of loopholes in oversight, which provides federal authorities a strong opening for scrutiny. This is not a minor clerical issue. Resources were available, and high-profile figures have the means to comply. The failure to file properly exposes the fragile foundation of their U.S. operations, undermining donor trust and increasing federal accountability risk. For viewers, it highlights how even well-funded celebrity operations can collapse under legal and financial pressure when transparency is missing. Every celebrity scandal has a PR angle, but this situation escalates far beyond public relations. As IRS and federal authorities open investigations, standard PR strategies, interviews, image control, and messaging cease to be effective. According to sources, the Sussex Circle initially attempted to manage the narrative, but as filings remained missing and accounts froze, the issue moved into federal territory. Legal notices, freezes, and accountability demands replaced press statements. This shift has a psychological and operational impact. Panic, urgent decisions, and strategic moves such as returning to the UK began to take precedence. PR tricks no longer hold influence. Documentation, compliance, and federal oversight govern the story. This evolution from public narrative to legal enforcement exposes the fragile foundation of celebrity control. The lesson is clear. Image management cannot substitute for regulatory compliance. When federal authorities are involved, documents and procedures dictate outcomes, leaving titles, narrative control, or public sympathy irrelevant. The complexity deepens with the Invictus Games Foundation. Millions of pounds were raised and allocated, yet reports indicate that veterans and intended beneficiaries may not have received the proper funding. Why did Birmingham receive £26 million while the city faced financial difficulties? Why were veterans underfunded despite large donations? Allegedly, the financial pipelines of Invictus and Archewell are connected, and both are under scrutiny simultaneously. Questions from donors and governments have heightened pressure, revealing opaque fund management and governance challenges. For viewers, this exposes the dangers of celebrity-led foundations. Even well-intentioned efforts can appear mismanaged when transparency is lacking. This narrative illustrates that public image and donation numbers can mask deep structural vulnerabilities, especially when funds are moved across multiple entities with minimal accountability. The freeze of assets is catastrophic in its direct impact. Sources describe it as more than just halted funds. It represents the potential collapse of an entire operational model. Staff salaries, security contracts, PR retainers, and legal consults, all allegedly dependent on charity cash flows, are affected. The freeze is reportedly total and abrupt, meaning no transfers, withdrawals, or quiet reshuffling are possible. For Harry and Meghan, this threatens everything from day-to-day operations to lifestyle sustainability. The freeze exposes the vulnerability of relying almost entirely on foundation-controlled funds. This is a pivotal moment. Once the money stops, panic escalates, urgent tactical decisions are made, and strategic retreats, including possible UK relocation, become imperative. The lesson is stark. Even royals or high-profile celebrities are not immune to the sudden collapse of financial systems when oversight, compliance, or federal scrutiny intersects with operational dependency. Suddenly, the security narrative resurfaces. The Sussexes' return to the UK is framed as a necessity, with legal protections and security concerns highlighted in the media. However, sources claim this is not an emotional or public relations-driven decision. It's tactical. Jurisdictional strategy appears to be at play. The US investigation and asset freezes make the UK comparatively safer for operations and legal positioning. This narrative shift demonstrates how high-profile figures sometimes repurpose security or protection concerns to justify moves dictated by legal and financial pressures. For viewers, it underscores that behind the headlines, celebrity decisions are often calculated, tactical responses to escalating scrutiny rather than purely personal or emotional choices. The UK system has historically historically provided relative protection for royals. Prince Andrew's case offers a clear precedent. Despite public outrage and serious allegations, authorities stalled investigations and limited legal action. Sources suggest Harry and Meghan understand this dynamic. Returning to the UK could provide them with jurisdictional cover, leveraging royal connections and legal frameworks that differ significantly from US enforcement. This topic demonstrates how historical precedent and knowledge of local laws can directly influence high-profile strategic decisions. It also highlights the contrast between US legal rigor and perceived UK leniency for royalty, showing how jurisdiction can shape the outcomes of scandals and investigations. Finally, we see the subtle yet inevitable collapse of power. Once documents, tax filings, and fund access are controlled by federal authorities, the illusion of control erodes. Delayed filings, frozen accounts, unanswered letters, and desperate moves leak power slowly but inexorably. Allegedly, if the claims are accurate, this isn't a traditional scandal, it's a countdown. When money freezes, the narrative is no longer in the hands of the subjects. Control lies with documentation, compliance, and legal authority. Titles, victim narratives, or curated public image hold no sway. The Sussexes experience illustrates a harsh truth. Operational transparency and legal compliance govern ultimate power, not celebrity status or privilege. For viewers, this final chapter underscores that fame may delay accountability, but it cannot prevent financial and legal systems from asserting control.